Hey, I'm back. This episode, my review. I'm back to giving you my review of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I missed the past 2 weeks because of baseball. I've been caught up with the Mets and stuff, and didn't quite work out at the end. But let's press on to my review of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 3, episode 6, called Among Us High. And I knew what the previous two episodes were about. The last week's episode was about Simmons and her journey on the planet, on a distant planet, and she met a guy in there, and yada yada yada, and she got pulled back before she could rescue him, before she could save him. So now she wants Fitz to help her pull him back. Okay, so Fitz is working on that when the episode begins, and also we get the aftermath of the episode that was before the last one, where Andrew seemingly got knocked off supposedly by the Hydra agents, and of course the Strucker son, who had pretended to be a student to get close to him. Okay, and I remember somebody mentioned this. Excuse me, I don't know what that was. Somebody mentioned this, and it seemed very appropriate that he ran out of the store before the explosion, where we thought Andrew had got killed, wiped out. That he had a terrified look on his face when he ran out. Okay, that he saw something, and people were speculating something, but I'll get to that later. Okay, basically, the Hydra son, Von Strucker's son, is on the run because he didn't complete his mission. He's afraid that war's going to kill him, so he basically buggers off, and he meets Powers Booth's character, who's supposed to be like a higher up in Hydra, that everybody's feared, who was friends with the Von Strucker's kid's father, of course, Von Strucker. So he promises that he'll help the kid escape, and give him some phony papers and stuff and help him escape. Okay, in the meantime, of course, Agent May is beyond pissed. They show you to the store, the aftermath, and Andrew is not dead like they kind of hinted in the promos. Of course, he's still alive, and they got him laying down. He's explaining what happened. How thank for Coulson for sending an undercover agent with him, and so the undercover agent actually shot one of the Hydra men. Before he got killed. So thereby, and they spilled the gasoline in the store, and of course there was an explosion. But Andrew managed to get to the door before everything exploded, and he said he got blown clear of the explosion. Okay, so of course May is beyond pissed at Hunter for taking the shot and putting Andrew's life in danger, and she's beyond pissed. And basically she goes to Coulson and said, listen, I want to be back. I want to go after Ward. And he said, are you back? She said, yeah, I'm back. Okay, and then the next thing you see is her going up to Bobby saying, you had Hunter basically fight your battles, and they have a nice little skirmish, which is nice for about a minute. A nice little scuffle back and forth where Bobby, actually Agent May was just testing Bobby, say, okay, you're back in the field, because she said Coulson wasn't going to let her back because she's not quite up. She said, no, you're back on the field. Okay, so they're going to go off to track down Ward, and towards that end, they're going to track down the Hunter kid, the Von Strucker kid, who was on the run from, of course, obviously from Ward because he didn't complete his mission. Okay, and so they're going to basically trace him. They figure he's going to run on the run, and they trace they've been monitoring Hydra's bank accounts, so they trace a bank account that they say Von Strucker kid had access to. So they go basically to the Cayman Islands to see if they can track him down. Okay, now in the meantime, Coulson is with I think Rosalind's the lady's name, from the ATCU, and she's promised him a tour, of course, of the facility. Okay, and while they're on their way there, she gets supposedly an emergency, and she has to go home. And of course, Coulson at first says okay, and then he says, you know what? No, I'll go with you to wherever this emergency is. I don't really want to see this facility. And they go back to her house, and where they do a little light flirting, and basically they do go back. She does take him back, agrees to take him back to the facility, and in the meantime, Daisy and Mac are going to track down. Basically, they're going to go on the theory that Daisy had seen Lash transform into a human, and so they're thinking about suspects who could be Lash. Okay, and they they come up with the #2 guy that works for Rosalind. They think so they decide, you know what, let's trace him. We'll follow him from work and see if he can lead us, you know, see if we can catch any incriminating evidence that proves that he's Lash. Okay, and of course Hunter, having nothing to do and been sidelined by Coulson, he tags along with them, where they monitor him and basically see that he's just a regular normal guy, but they think he's on his way home. But before he can get away, Hunter kind of improvises and puts a mask on and goes up and ices him, so they can check his phone and records and stuff, and basically they get information that leads them to the ATC headquarters, where they actually send in a drone and they monitor it, and where they see, upon seeing the image from the drone, they see Coulson. Okay, and Coulson's there with Rosalind, where she's explaining to him how, you know, because they actually see Inhumans being basically put on ice, and she's explaining to Coulson how they're just doing this to basically this cryogenically freezing them until they can, you know, actually find a cure, and they're close. Okay, and of course, you know, Daisy's upset about, you know, humans being put on ice, of course, and then they actually, while they have Rosalind's #2 guy unconscious, they take a blood sample and send it to Simmons to have her test the DNA to see if there are any markers for Inhumans, and she gets back to him and says no, he's just a normal human being, and then they put him back in the car and they get ready to bugger off. Okay, and then we find out Agent May and Bobby, they're on their way to the Cayman Islands, of course, to see if they can track down the Strucker kid who's on the run from Ward and S.H.I.E.L.D, of course. And they, you know, and at the same time, Ward sends his #1 henchman to silence the Strucker kid. Okay, excuse me about that, I don't know what that was. to silence the Strucker kid, and of course, Agent May and Bobby get there just before, you know, they kill the kid, and of course they, you know, knock them off, and Bobby has a nice little underwater, you know, nice little fight with a big tough Hydra guy, Ward's #1, when they actually go into the pool, and then she manages to taser him into unconsciousness. Okay, and then Agent May is cradling the you know, the Strucker kid, who's basically, you know, looks like he's dying. Okay, and he basically tells, you know, he's terrified and tells him that was going to kill him. He's, you know, saying that was going to kill him because he failed the mission. He said, but he didn't understand. You know, he was terrified when he saw what that guy changed into, and May is curious what he's saying. What did he change into? And that's when they show the flashback. They actually show you what really happened, because early in the episode they actually showed it from what Andrew told them happened, and now we're going to see what really happened. Okay, and this is the big reveal, and this is what people have already guessed. Actually, Andrew is Lash. He transformed right in front of the kid into Lash, and he took care of the two Hydra agents, and of course he transformed, knocked the Stalker kid out. Well, he knocked him, I guess, towards the door, where he basically ran off, and then he just set the fire as a cover, and changed back to normal Andrew, and set the fire as a cover. Okay, so we know now that Andrew is really Lash, which is a mind, and you see May is cradling the dying Strucker kid, and of course, I think she's realizing, that's what you see the look on her face, that she's terrified and scared at the same time. Okay, that he's Lash. Okay, he is. Why he's doing it, they don't tell you that. So we have, I guess, to see what his real motivation is for doing this. Anyway, now of course you also see, now that we know he's Lash, you also see Daisy talking. She gets a call and she's talking to Lincoln, who's on the run. Okay, and basically telling him that she'll keep his secret, and she's waiting for him to basically to come in. But of course, in the meantime, she'll worry about him. And then, of course, around the corner comes, when she makes the turn and comes around the corner, there's Andrew, basically asking her, is that Lincoln she's talking to? And he should come in, telling her that Daisy, he should come in. We can protect him better here. Of course, he just wants to kill him. So it kind of goes off with that, on that ominous note. And this episode was really, really good. You got to see Agent May fight. You got to see Agent May and Agent Bobby fight, which was always good. And then you saw them kick ass in the bank. And when they went to trace the money that the Strucker Kid was accessing, that was great. And I like the little banter between Rosalind and Coulson. I think they were actually flirting with each other, which is pretty cool. Okay, and they showed Ward for a little bit, him setting off his henchmen to what killed the Strucker Kid. And they actually had an interesting conversation between him and Powers Booth's character, supposed to be the senior Hydra agent, where they basically, he tells Ward, he sent a kid to do a guy that, you basically wasted an asset. And he said, I want you to remember this, when later on down the line, and he basically tells him where the Strucker Kid is. Okay, which is interesting. But anyway, this episode was pretty good. And also, I forgot to mention, Fitz was helping Simmons try to, get back to that world so they can rescue, the guy that Simmons, basically spent her time with on the planet. And he's basically telling he ran the simulation. But he doesn't find out. He doesn't think there's a way. But he says he's gonna still keep trying. Okay, which is cool. And anyway, this is a good episode, really good. A lot of things happen, and of course, a great reveal of Andrew being Lash, which a lot of people on the message boards already guessed. And I think that is cool because it gives Blair and the Wood something to do and makes his character even more interesting. Okay, so I think it works out great. So overall, I'm going to give this episode pretty cool. A lot of things happen, a lot of moving pieces, and the great big reveal with Andrew as Lash. So I'm going to give this episode, I'm going to give it a 7.8. I'm going to give it a 7.8. Okay, that's good. That's good rating for this episode. Anyway, let me know what you think of this episode. Season 3, Episode 6, Among Us, Hide. What do you think of Andrew being Lash? I think that's great. And now you got to find out exactly what his motivation is and why he's killing these Inhumans, and what the deal is with Andrew. Was he always like this, or did he get infected and become this? Anyway, we'll find out next week. Anyway, feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trepacer saying so long and take care.